have a lot of time to add in a bunch more stuff, nor do we really have a lot more time for us to do work, to look at students' submissions. So as much as possible, I would love for these metacognitive strategies or practices to be things that are relatively short in duration and short on imposition on our own time, because we're already doing a lot. And I don't know how big your classes are, but sometimes we have lots of students, and so I want to be sensitive to those demands. Especially, I know that this time of the semester it feels like it's all crushing in on us, but so I appreciate you being here today, the second to last week of the semester. It is a time of a lot of work and a lot of effort. So thanks for being here today. At the end of that document, there was a chance for you to complete a form to give me some feedback on your knowledge about metacognitive practices and your use of them. And so this is just some of what you said. 2 of 4 of you are really starting relatively from zero. You haven't done anything. That's great. I love that. The other half are doing some monitoring or planning, but there could be more that you could do. 3 out of the 4 of you said that time or curriculum is your top concern, right? So I think that's our time in the classroom, as well as, is this going to crowd out the content of our classes? And I hope that that's not going to happen. I asked you about where students struggle, and you talked about applying skills to a new problem, moving beyond memorization. That is a common problem that faculty talk about a lot. Memorization is, learning the content is essential. You got to do it, but we oftentimes want our students to go beyond that, to be able to transfer those skills and knowledge to other problems. Related to content, before we even start, we're going to focus on that today a little bit. Strategies of interest, you talked about pre-task planning prompt, right? So some of you talked about that. That's great. Assignment wrappers or exam wrappers. I think wrappers are a really powerful strategy that is, it can be relatively low investment, but high return. So I think that's great. Study plan and debrief, monitoring, check-in. We'll talk about those things today. The shared concerns, of course, it's time, right? Everyone's busy, everyone classes. So almost everyone talked about the packed course and as the day up school. So we'll definitely address that in some of our design work today. So some learning objectives. This is also learning objectives are a metacognitive practice. Talking about learning objectives is a good practice to get into with your students. Of course, we have learning objectives on our syllabi. I think for many faculty, that's the first and last time we talk about learning objectives, is that first day of class maybe, or on the syllabus. But it is a great practice to even start out every day with saying, you don't have to go back to your syllabus learning objectives necessarily. You could tie them back to those more significant ones, but even like this, just for today, this is what we're going to do, right? So this is previewing what is going to happen in class or in our session. So this by itself is a metacognitive strategy. So we're going to experience some metacognitive practice today. I'm going to walk you through that, what it's like to do a type of metacognitive practice. We're going to identify where metacognitive skill gaps, most of our students. You're going to design, hopefully, a complete metacognitive practice that you could incorporate into one of your classes, either, I don't know, maybe not this week or next week, because that's short order and you probably have it all planned, but certainly starting the next time you teach, whether it's this summer or next fall. We're going to do some peer feedback on those things that you've developed. And then I'm going to ask you to make a commitment about whether or how you're going to implement your strategy, because this again is a metacognitive practice, making commitments. Not that I'm going to check up on you necessarily, but it's a commitment to yourself. And that's also really thinking about your own thinking about your own practice, And so these are the things we're going to do today in our session. So I want to start out by giving you some experience of being a metacognitive learner. Because it says here, the research shows us that faculty who have personally experienced a metacognitive prompt or metacognitive practice, not just read about one, but actually done it, those are faculty who are more likely to incorporate metacognition into their own teaching. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, and people on Zoom, I'm gonna share one in the link for in the chat in just a minute, but I'm going to give you a very short reading. And don't start reading it yet. I know you're all the best students in the room, so just hold on. And I'm going to for the Zoom people, I'm going to put these into the chat.
Chris, did you sign in or?
I got you. Yeah, it was a small group, so I just went in.
Okay, so Lan and Wendy in Zoom, you can just pick one of those, A or B, doesn't matter. So what all of you to do before you start reading it, look at what the title is. Skim it over. I mean, it's just scan it briefly. This is a part of the preview that we think is, the research shows is good for reading comprehension, is to preview and plan your reading. So what that means is you should look at the topic, and I've created these readings so that they're probably things you don't know about already, which is good, right? That's who our students are. So what I want you to do is think about what you already know about this topic, if anything. Maybe it's nothing. That's all right. What do you expect to find confusing? And what is your strategy for reading this document? Is it going to be, I mean, this is not a long document, so your strategy might be, I'm going to read it thoroughly once, and then I'm going to go back. It depends. I mean, whatever your strategy you choose, but this preparation is a metacognitive practice, right? I'm preparing to read. This is something that our students do not very often. They just dive in. I've got to read this thing. I've got to read 10 pages, 20 pages, whatever it is. I got to get this done. So they just dive right in and start reading without scanning before, without previewing it, without thinking about how I'm going to read this, what are my strategies. So the first thing is to plan. And the second thing is to read and monitor your reading while you're reading it. And what this means in this case is, while you're reading, I want you to mark two moments. One where you felt genuinely confused, and one where you felt confident about your understanding, right? And so that's what you're going to do while you're reading it. And then finally, after you've read it, I want you to go back and I want you to think, what did I actually understand? And you could just jot this down on the sheet maybe. Did my strategy work? Think about whether your strategy worked, whatever it was. And then what would you do differently if I had to go back and do it again? Now, again, this is a very short passage, so you could go back and do that again and change the way you did it. But again, for our students who are reading, 10 pages in a textbook or whatever it is, having a strategy, carrying it out, and then reflecting on the strategy is very valuable. And so, all right, so plan it out, read and monitor, and then evaluate. And so I'll give you, 7 or 8 minutes to do so. Go.
Good. Good stuff.
Okay, how are we doing? Everybody ready? How about people on the Zoom? Are you all ready? Thank you. Fabulous. Okay, so really what I want you to think about is, I want to ask you, what did you notice? So what did you notice about your monitoring? So that's the part where you're doing, while you're reading it, what did you notice about that?
I did my tried and true,
Which-
skim
Skim
it and then go back.
it in the bed. So that's a good
Recognize,
strategy.
You know, which words do I recognize? What can I glean really quickly? And then, you know, is there anything that I was like, before I read it, and then read it. Truly read it.
Read it more intensely, more thoroughly. That's good. What else? Anything else?
I did, my strategy was to read, explore, and then reread for understanding.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, I kind of read it the first time, and when I came across some words, maybe perhaps I didn't know, or people or things like that, jot
Yeah.
those down. If I had time, I would have looked those things up and people up, and then went back and reread it just to make sure I understood a little bit better what I was reading.
Right on. Jimmy?
Pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Read it the first time and just, if I didn't understand it, just kept going and let later passages or sentences make more sense, and then came back to those.
Right on. How about the Zoom people, Lon or Wendy?
Yeah, I also like just skim the whole article and get a general idea. So if I have more time, I will read some like paragraphs I don't quite understand and try to understand more.
Right on.
Yeah, same for me.
Beautiful. So as it says in the slide, many people confuse familiarity for understanding. And I think that is something that our students have a lot of trouble with, right? They read something and if they can follow it and they can basically, figure out what it's saying in general, that is seen as understanding. They take that for understanding, when really what they've done is skim or scan it, and they've read that, their eyes have.
The eyes did the work.
The eyes did the
went
work.
Left to right.
Exactly
And
right.
line by line.
They scanned it and they read every line, and then that's it, right? And so they stop there and they feel like, I've read the 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever, but that's not understanding. They familiarize themselves with it. Maybe, right? And so,
Maybe.
yeah, maybe. Especially, it's our attention spans are, especially their attention spans are not quite what they used to be, and these things may have been going off and are distracting, and we just know even having it on the table with you, near you, is already a distraction, even if it doesn't make any noise. So that's a real challenge, and this sort of illusion of understanding is very powerful. They feel like they've done something, right? I've done something, I spent X number of minutes, and again, sometimes students will think, I'm going to read for X number of minutes. Good, it's a good start. But, after 15 or 20 or 30 minutes, they've read stuff, but that feels like work, right? I've done work, but they haven't done the most effective work, right? They haven't understood it very much because they didn't do this sort of 3-phase process where you preview it, you monitor, and then you review it. And if they would just have done that it makes it much more likely that it's going to get into their brain in a meaningful way. Did one of the phases feel more uncomfortable to you? The preview, monitoring, or review?
I mean, I don't think it was uncomfortable per se, but the time for me, because, everybody comprehends at different rates. And
Yes.
so sometimes it takes me a little bit longer and I'm like, I have to reread it. So, I could just imagine being in the classroom where it's like, okay, well, you have 7 minutes to do all of this.
Yeah.
And then 7 minutes isn't enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I didn't finish.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
And that's kind of a different perspective that I take away also.
Yes. That's really powerful, especially for in-class reading, which I think is a great thing in general. But you have to be really sensitive to that because some students really take much longer than others and, you know, they're just being thorough perhaps, or maybe it just takes them longer. You know, so reading outside of class is less of an issue.
We've traumatized the popcorn readers.
Yeah,
You know, the popcorn reading.
what does that mean?
Chris, it's your turn. Can you start with that paragraph? Okay.
Oh.
And then you go to the next paragraph, but you
Oh.
don't know who, so they sit there like. Don't call
Oh,
me, don't call
man.
me. And they
Yes,
haven't listened to a thing because they're
Anticipation.
Yeah.
just dreading when
Yes.
it's their turn.
well, I've had
So that's
experiences like
popcorn.
that, yes.
That's some people call it different things, but it's been proven now that it's not effective for reading strategies and it actually causes more anxiety about reading
Yes.
than anything beneficial.
Absolutely. And I think that's true of thinking as well. You know, some students are really quick thinkers. And so this is why I don't really like the Socratic method of teaching where you just ask questions and wait for students to respond, because those quick thinkers, they might be able to raise their hand, but the slower thinkers, you know, they're never going to have a chance to answer, even if they wanted to, because we don't give them time. And this is a little bit of a tangent, but that's why I like think, pair, share a lot, because the think part of that process is really critical. You give everybody 2 minutes, 3 minutes to think about something first on their own before they pair up. So that gives the slower thinkers a chance to think through things before they are asked to talk to somebody.
But see, I'm even struggling when I assign and be like, you need to have that chapter done before class. Reading is before class.
Yes,
Come prepared. And they're all like, got anything, a comment,
yes,
you're just gonna sit there and look back at me. Okay.
yeah.
I think a part of this could probably come into play too, you know, when you think about, kind of like reflecting before, the reading and then have them read it and then come back to class and kind of discuss what they read maybe. I don't know, I love the different strategies here because you can also kind of put your own little spin on some of them.
Absolutely.
And really make them accommodating to the students who you have in your class. So I don't know, I'm excited to try some of these out and I think that might help maybe.
Oh, I've been testing all sorts of
Yeah.
things to get up to date this year.
Something that I didn't put in the preview document, but that I like, and I learned it from a textbook, is a reading anticipation guide. And it's just really a set of questions about the reading that you have students answer before you assign the reading, really, and they're usually, I mean, I tried to make them questions that were a little enticing, you know, or surprising. And I had students turn those in, so they could have easily turned that in to me and never read anything. Not great, not what I wanted. If they did do that and then they read it, it's gonna help them. It's the preview part. Even if they didn't do the reading, it's a very small little brief introduction to the reading, so at least they know what the reading's about. Now, again, better if they do the reading, but that is a way to help them do the reading more. The other plug I'll put in is, and I didn't include this either, but is Perusall. Perusall is a platform that you can essentially put your readings on, and it is a social reading
It's like a
platform.
live note catcher.
It's a live note, yeah, so students
They-
read,
Yeah, they can see each other's.
yeah, they can make comments, make annotations, make comments in the margins. And then they can see everybody else's comments in the margins. And you can make comments in the margin, you can respond to their comments, you can embed questions like, you know, what did that mean when he said this? Or when they're talking about that, how does that relate to what we're talking about? So you can embed questions and then they can respond to it. And it also will, if you want, score their annotations and their reading. And it times how long they spent reading, it monitors where in the reading they looked at, and so did they only read the first page or first 2 pages? So it has a lot of analytics built into it if you want to use that. And then, of course, you can see all of that, and so I think it has a lot of benefits in terms of metacognition but it also makes it very clear to other students if the student has read that, because they can see their comments. And of course, we can see if they've read it. So there's a lot of social pressure in a good way in Perusall. And so EKU Canvas has a Perusall plugin, and you can actually get almost all of your textbooks sort of uploaded to Perusall if they're electronic, which most of them are these days. So Perusall is also another way to, I'm not saying, ensure is the wrong word, a little strong.
Engage.
But make it more likely that they're engaging with the reading and they're doing the reading when you want them to do the reading. So you know, in almost all my classes now, I use Perusall and I say, you know, I want the due date for the Perusalls before class. So they read, you know, I tell them, look, this is the point, read it before class, and then when we come in, you know, we can talk about it, because I know you've read it, and so again, I didn't put that in the materials, but I'm a big Perusall advocate.
I think you just sold it to me where it has those analytics.
The analytics are powerful. And the way the default scoring is that students for a reading can get up to 3 points, 0 to 3. And it's intentionally unclear how to get those points, because they don't want the students to just to gain it. They want, but the points are based on not only the quantity of their annotations, but the quality of their annotations. So it's got an algorithm that evaluates the comments, but it also is time spent in the reading, whether you scanned through the whole thing. I mean, did you respond to someone else's comment or not? I mean, so
If it's sitting on your screen, but if you're manipulating
yeah,
in it, okay.
yeah. So it's a pretty sophisticated, the back end of it is very, the analytics are pretty sophisticated. And so it's a powerful thing. It's really neat. And again, I think it's really great. It's like, it's almost like you're reading along with them. And you can have a conversation with them in the reading. And I think that's, I found it to be really interesting to find out what they find interesting, what they get confused by, you know, and so it's a nice platform.
And let me ask you a question. You have the one who speeds through every module, the fast check the box task completer. Really speeds
Yeah.
through. How do you get them to circle back to the slower peer and engage? Like, I feel like whoever's last is getting the most benefit.
Yeah,
And the first person would have the least.
yes, because it's a
Benefits.
blank screen, there's no comments, and so they're the first person to get comment is like, "Ugh." So there's a little bit of that. One way that I think around that is that in the annotations itself, the annotations you make are very rich. You can embed links, videos, but you can also individual students. So they can add each other. And if someone adds me, I get an email saying, someone made a comment that mentioned you, and you just click on the link in your email, it brings you right to that comment. And so if the students start to add each other, so I'm the first person through, and then someone says, oh, at Matt Winslow, that was, you know, what did you think about that? I get that, you know, I read it 3 days ago, and now I'm getting an email saying, hey, another student or the instructor mentioned you in a comment, I'm gonna go back. So I think that's one way to round that.
Okay. I think it's pretty cool too, just from a social standpoint, for those students who are really engaged, like with social media, for example.
Yeah,
Just because it's, you know, it gives them the opportunity to get in and just be engaged with each other and ask questions. And I'm always surprised with Perusall how they're so quick to respond to each other as well, which I think is great. But yeah, so for those who like that, that could definitely be a plus as well.
Well, I will say, I am very impressed with all of my psych majors. Like, I am very jealous, actually, that we're y'all.
oh, we have the best students, there's no question.
I'm very jealous of your.
So I
your
think,
scholars.
yeah, I think Perusall is a powerful powerful system. It's really great. So again, your courses are full. What can a 3-minute prompt replace something rather than add to it? You know, so again, this little thing I had you do, if you suggested that either during a class read or you could set up, you know, something like a repeated assignment. So every time there's a reading assignment that you want them to do outside of class, you could construct a very simple little, either a quiz on Canvas or something where I just ask them these questions, tell me what you found confusing, tell me what you thought was interesting from the reading, and it's just a very quick thing. And then the review part, again, you can ask them very simple questions. And those are things that you could read. I'm not sure you want to grade them necessarily, but you can just check it off, it'd be more like, thank you for doing this. And so it would be almost a very short amount of time on you to just respond to their reflections. So it doesn't have to be time intensive. And especially if you do it repeatedly, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, students will get into the practice and it'll just become routine. And that will be the same for you. It'll become routine. It'll get easier. So that's a nice thing. Wendy, I see you're unmuted. Did you want to add to the conversation?
You had asked what is something that you find maybe like a problem, or I can't remember the exact word you used, but I think that for me, like what I've found with these younger students is that if I give them the why you need to know this, why is this important to you, why you should care before I give them a task, they're much more engaged. So I think that that's kind of the thing that with reading this passage, which I took the Bayesian updating passage, like, okay, so what is this telling me and why should I care? I think that would be the biggest challenge, I guess, would be for any reading assignment to express to the students.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. And again, I should have included this on the handout, but TILT, Transparency in Teaching and Learning, is this framework that is very powerful. And one of the parts of the transparency is being transparent about the purpose of whatever you're doing, what the purpose of this paper, the purpose of this activity, the purpose of what we're doing in class today, the purpose of this reading, right? And so that really builds on what you're saying, Wendy, about knowing why I'm doing this makes a big difference. So, TILT, Transparency in Teaching and Learning. Or Learning and Teaching, I guess, TILT. So if you Google TILT, you'll get to this. There's a great website about it, and there's templates, and there's a ton of research about it. And so,
a few books.
and then we've got books about it in the FCT&L. So if you want to get more information, it's a great thing because it really is. I mean, one of the main benefits of TILT is just repeatedly explaining the purpose right at the top, right? At the top of the assignment, at the top of the activity, you're saying, this is why I'm asking you to do this. There's a reason. It's not busy work. This is not just, because I want to assign something. Here's the reason. I mean, there's a good reason why I'm asking you to write this paper, take this test. Why is it that we give exams? Why am I giving you a quiz every day? Well, here's the reason why. I mean, there is a reason. And so, part of it's knowing about, how is this, if you're reading, how is this information going to benefit me, right? But it's also, I think, for the students knowing that I, as an instructor, have thought about this carefully, why I'm asking you to do this, and the purpose of this activity, there really is one. And so then they feel like, oh, okay, this is not just some stupid thing that Winslow is asking me to do for whatever reason. It's here's why we're doing it this way. That's a really important thing.
Well, and so you guys gave me some great words to take back because I have done 2 connections. I've done a connection with everything I do in the class to the praxis exam.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get licensed. And then in my field, we have our own standards. So you have all your teaching standards for your content areas, but my field has a very special niche. And so nobody knows our standards. And so I built in the log to do those standards. I'm like, oh, you're teaching to the test. Now you just minimized everything to teach to the test. I'm like, but I'm not giving them tests quite like.
Yes,
So this is the words
Yeah.
of
yeah,
of like, yeah, you need to maintain everything I'm giving you. You need to create study materials. You need to, you know, have
That links
these
back to the
things.
why.
Yes,
Goes back
your
to the
short
why.
term is the test, your long term is on your desk when you're a teacher. You will need access to these standards and to be able to pull them quickly
yeah,
and know how to apply them.
yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, you're teaching to the test now.
Well, yes, because that test is how you become, and there are all these standardized tests, right? I mean, all licensure exams for lots of different people, and it's like, yeah, you have to
But
pass that test, so I'm teaching you to the test 100%.
But it's hard for, even the grad students, when they are starting that grad program, to realize in 18 months, you have to still know this. Like,
Yeah,
they think, 7.5 weeks, I'm done, dump it.
dump it,
And I'm like, no, you have to retain it.
yeah,
Or you're not gonna meet your short-term goal to then be in your long-term goal.
yeah, that's right. That's a great point. I'm falling behind my schedule, but that's good. These are great conversations. So, I've got another handout for the people in the room, and I'll put it in the chat. This is, our design planner. So my intention is for you to walk through or to work on this handout. Let's see, where is it? Design. So this worksheet walks you through designing something for your class. So it's asking you what your context is, what strategy you want to use, pick something that your students have a hard time with, or really a strategy that you want to employ. And write down as much as you can. The more detail you can put on the sheet, the better. How about we spend 6 minutes working on this, and then we'll see what you came up with. Yeah, no pressure. Okay, I know that I didn't give you much time to work on this, but hopefully you have at least thought about which strategy you want to use. Can we just go around and share which strategy you're gonna use for what topic? Who wants to start?
I can start.
Thank you.
I had to pull it back up over here, which is the names of the strategies. So I am going to implement strategy 5, which is thinking aloud, modeling by the instructor, and also 7,
Oh,
self-questioning heuristics.
beautiful.
And I would like to do those in my in-person Site 440, which is applied scientific literacy.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you're gonna model thinking out loud, in front of your students.
Yeah,
No pressure.
no pressure.
Sure.
And we're gonna do that because we evaluate a lot of empirical articles in that class. And my plan is to try and make this happen, of course, in the fall semester. And I'm thinking I'm gonna introduce it toward the end of the first week, just because I feel like as soon as we can start doing that, the better. And then I plan to midterm and then also at the end of the semester, just kind of follow up with them. And then get like a self-reflection and a gauge, just to help gauge what I implement, whether or not it was successful.
Right on. I love it. Morgan.
So, as I mentioned, I already kind of do the pre-task, but it's in module 0. So I was thinking maybe I need to make it in each module and just keep that constant reminder of why we're doing it.
Yeah,
It's an online graduate asynchronous class, and I've already thought weekly check-ins might be too much time because they seem to be struggling with time management.
sure.
So increasing those check-ins to maybe every 3 days, possibly. In education, we already kind of have the whole planning process. They usually have to do something lesson related, so they kind of already get that planning, implementing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
But I think evaluate might be missing,
yeah, that's right.
and to maybe zero in on a reflexive journal
Yeah,
to get them as they are completing these pieces, thinking about what they did in each of their piece and those type of things.
yeah. How about you, Jimmy?
I kind of do think aloud a little bit in my class already, and with that, I'll introduce a new concept and then walk through how we actually apply that to, we're going out, like, here's a scenario and here's how I'm going to walk through, for example, a weather briefing, just see what's going on there. I think I'll follow that up with pausing throughout and doing sort of, I think it was number 3, monitoring the check-in, like seeing if, okay, are you guys still with me at this point? And
Yeah.
then once I finish going through a thorough briefing, then give them maybe sections of a briefing and have them work on it themselves and follow that up with like the assignment wrapper, I think, where they can describe what part of this briefing did I understand, what part did I not understand, what do I need to do? Maybe I'm a visual person, I need to draw it out better or something like that.
Yeah,
I didn't get to where in the university or where in the semester I would apply it, but it would just be whenever that need gets.
sure. No, I love that. Yeah, the assignment wrapper, exam wrapper concept is really, again, it can be mostly about what did I do that worked as a student? What do I want to do differently next time? And that's, if you keep on doing it, they'll start to see, oh, I keep on putting off the reading until the night before. That's not good. And, hopefully eventually they figure that out. Lon, Wendy?
I choose like one of my online asynchronous like 7-week course, and it's a kind of a coding class for graduate students. And normally, because it's asynchronous, it's after the lecture I provided online. It's kind of hard for me to evaluate after they look at the lectures, and so before we have like major exam. So I think I would try to add some practice, like quizzes or exams, before the like formative evaluation. So it's just after the lecture, it's like quick quiz to check their comprehension. So it's participation. So it's like can give them like real-time feedback whether they really comprehend the concepts. So most of the time, they think they understand after they look at the lecture, but they do not actually comprehend the real concept. So I want to like have a quick test on them so they can learn. If they make like some mistakes, they learn from their mistake. So I think that's a quick evaluation. And also I think I also set up a kind of a discussion board for them to discuss like whatever they think is very hard to comprehend. Then they can help each other. I
Yeah.
think that's a good way to improve their comprehension.
Very good. Yeah, low stakes quizzes are really a powerful tool. Wendy,
So I was already doing some of these things without having like a label put on it. I teach media literacy, so some of it's like for strategy two, what, show them a headline or a news story and say, what do you already think about this? Like what are your thoughts already from reading this headline? And
yeah,
so there are some and then like strategy three, like how well do you understand this? What's unclear from what you've read? Where can you place this on like a bias scale and stuff? So, but all of these strategies, now that I see a clear like structure of things, I could be able to apply all of these in my future classes. So, but I really like, like strategy five, the think aloud modeling, especially in media literacy, is my first reaction based on the headline going to be that I believe what I'm saying? Does it align with my already biased opinions? So all of these things can be applied to media literacy, and I'm looking forward to using them in my future classes. Thank you.
awesome. Thank you. I just, on the screen right here, I just am trying to demonstrate that you can use AI to help you create metacognitive documents, practices. So I just asked Copilot to create a reading anticipation guide that I was talking about for one of the readings I had you guys do. And so here it is. It just created this thing, very quickly. And of course, I would want to read this through carefully to make sure it's not hallucinating and saying the wrong thing. But generally, it's pretty good, especially if you give it something to work with. It reads it very carefully and usually does a great job of that. So I just wanted to point out that AI can be a huge time saver. You don't have to create these things from scratch. You can say, because of course AI knows all about all these metacognitive strategies. All I said was create a reading anticipation guide. I didn't have to tell it what it was. It just knew what it was, right? And so if you say create an exam wrapper for this exam and give it an exam, it's going to pump out something that usually is pretty good. So I know we're almost done. I do want to point out that what happens after the students do the metacognitive work is really important. So if you ask them to do a reflection, for example, and they do it, and that's the last thing they hear about it, they just fire it off into Canvas and it goes into the netherworld, they're not going to feel like it was purposeful or meaningful or beneficial. So it is important to give them at least some recognition that you read it. Again, you don't have to give a lot of feedback if you don't want to, but something that shows that you followed up on that, that you paid attention to it. So that is really important to kind of build in this loop where students get something back from their reflective work. And many of you have already done this. So I'll just end by saying that the FCT&L is here to help you, to support you. So if you want to consult with us, me or someone else in the FCT&L, we're absolutely here for you. If you want one of us to come and observe your class, I do those whole things all the time. They're really fun. Let us know. Stay in touch. and let us help you as much as you want us to. And thank you for being here today. I appreciate your working so hard during this difficult time of the semester. And good luck with the end of the semester. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, people on Zoom.
Is there going to be, like a follow-up session or like a session 2? Maybe?
I don't have one planned for this. So, but I plan to do this session again, either in the fall or the spring.
Okay.
So we'll repeat it and I'll adjust it probably.
Good.
Great,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Where did Chris run off to? I
I'm
was
not sure. He's
About the book.
probably he's right in his office right there. Yeah,
He went back to his corner?
I think so.
And the thing pair shared that you were talking about, they have a couple of minutes solos, they just try to process it.
Yes.
Then they pair up and they discuss it. And then do they share to the class as pairs?
They can, right? So then I would go around and say, oh, yeah, who wants to share? And I might not get to every pair, but a bunch of them.
Okay.
Before you close your computer, Google PZ with Ron Rich Chart, just like it sounds, RITCH. HART in the project PZ has a gazillion things. Think, pair, share, other ways to get
Beautiful.
kids. Did you know